One evening in Bristol, a child stood frozen at the top of the stairs. Down below, his father lay bleeding on the kitchen floor. His mother held the knife. Moments earlier, the house was filled with shouting. Now, only silence. She would claim it was an accident. But what unfolded was the final chapter in a relationship built on jealousy, rage, and violence. And by the end of that night, only one parent would be alive to tell the story. Abigail White's life was chaos from the start. An abusive father, a violent home, years in a foster care. She struggled in school, lashed out at authority, and turned to alcohol and drugs as a teenager. By her late teens, she was in turbulent relationships, and by 19 had reconnected with Bradley Lewis, a former schoolmate. They had 3 children in quick succession. But behind the family photos was a toxic reality: jealous fights, controlling behavior, and violent outbursts. Abigail was known for her temper, both in public and at home. Even a nightclub stranger wasn't safe from her rage. She was once convicted for a brutal attack in a bathroom. Bradley worked full-time to support the family, while Abigail stayed home, later turning to OnlyFans under the name Fake Barbie, earning tens of thousands of pounds. But the money didn't fix their problems. The couple cheated on each other, broke up, and reconciled repeatedly, and their arguments often turned physical. Abigail stabbed Brad twice during past fights, once in the leg and once in the arm. Friends and family warned them to separate. Social services even intervened, ordering them to live apart for the safety of their children. Brad finally began to think seriously about leaving for good. But Abigail's threats escalated. She said she would kill his lovers, his mother, and even Brad himself. March 25, 2022. After a tense park meeting earlier in the day, Abigail and Brad met again that evening at a pub with friends and their children. Abigail had been drinking and using drugs. When Brad arrived late, she exploded, accusing him of cheating. The fight spilled into the pub, with Abigail throwing drinks, spitting at strangers, and causing a scene. Brad's friends left, but the couple stayed, trying to calm things down. By 8 p.m., they headed home with the kids. Brad told a friend, "I'm already dead." Back home, the shouting resumed. Abigail accused Brad of failing to defend her at the pub. She went to the kitchen, returned with a knife, and in one swift motion, stabbed him in the chest. Their 3-year-old son saw it happen. Brad stumbled into the kitchen, bleeding heavily, and collapsed. Instead of calling for help, Abigail tried to clean the scene, washing his shirt, mopping the floor. A neighbor rushed in and performed CPR until paramedics arrived. Brad was rushed to the hospital, but the wound had pierced his heart. Hours later, he was pronounced dead. Abigail's story shifted again and again. First, she said Brad stabbed himself. Then, he grabbed her hand and forced the knife in. But her 3-year-old son's words cut through every lie. "Mommy stabbed Daddy." Investigators uncovered her recent online searches: how to tie a noose, stabbing cases, and miscarriage topics. Witnesses recalled her violent pub outburst hours earlier. For police, the pattern was clear. This wasn't a single moment of rage, but the final escalation of years of abuse. It was the 3rd time she'd attacked Brad with a knife. This time, the wound went straight to his heart, and he didn't survive. In October 2022, Abigail White faced trial for Brad's murder. She pushed for a lesser manslaughter charge, blaming her mental state. The jury wasn't convinced. Evidence showed intent, history, and a choice to clean the scene before helping Brad. She was found guilty of murder and sentenced to life with a minimum of 18 years. For Brad's family, the sentence offered no real comfort. "We've been given a life sentence too," they said. 3 children lost their father. Parents lost a son. Friends lost a loyal mate. And all because warning signs were ignored until it was far too late. Bradley Lewis's death was the tragic end to years of ignored warnings. A family torn apart, children left without their father, and a killer behind bars. But justice, no matter how final, can never undo the loss. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe to Shadowcase for more real crime that reveals the truth behind the headlines.